Hey guys, Campaigner here. Hopefully you guys are doing good in your respective endeavors and campaigns. Essentially just want to make a video highlighting a little bit more about myself. You know, we had the first video and that kind of documented a little bit of the things I like to do and what you guys can expect. One of the main things I left out though had to do with something that I'm very, very big on, which is essentially the idea of personal and professional improvement. Super huge on the subject, very, very about that life. And I think it's good for people to pay attention to these type of things because, you know, improvement personally or professionally can only live to serve you and make you better, right? Definitely been trying to get better in that regard and just keeping things organic, keeping things simple. And yeah, so without further ado, I will get into the crux of today's video. How to be articulate. Being articulate is very, very important. It's something that kind of hits home for me based off my professional background and the jobs I've had thusly up until this point in time. It's very, very important to the person that I am, and I think that it's a really good skill to have for any industry that you find yourself in, or really any walk of life you find yourself on. Why is being articulate important? And you know, what does it mean to you? Right? So you have a lot of like prominent figures throughout history that have sparked movements and, you know, created ideas and conveyed, you know, concepts to the masses, captivated hearts, and just been the trigger of focal points throughout history, right? Like Woodrow Wilson, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, you know, namesake, FDR, Teddy Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, Hitler, you know, this is crazy. Yeah, they're not all good people, but it's just having that ability to be articulate and get to gab in order to sway crowds and get your point across. Very, very, very important for what it is you may want to do with your life and what you've got going on. You need to be able to communicate with the people around you. That's just bottom line, right? Super important. Moving forward, how does one go about doing this, right? You know, it sounds good, it sounds great, but like, you know, we all speak, we all talk, we all have our respective networks, but how do you improve that? How do you get better at just simply talking? Well, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. I'll keep it very simple. First thing, low-hanging fruit, you gotta read. Reading books is super important. You cannot avoid it. I feel like at some point in time, we read every day, whether you're scrolling on social media, on your cellular device, or even like reading, you know, closed captioning, you know, looking at stuff in news, subtitles if you're an anime watcher. And yeah, the list goes on. Reading is super important. You can't avoid it. You know, you should always try to read in some regard. The good thing about reading is that as you read and you see how things are conveyed, it becomes easier for you to convey other things. Those things, your things, all things. It's good stuff. Take the time to read. You can't avoid it. I know how you feel. You might have that one book that you've been shelving because you haven't had the time to get around to reading it. That is my, I would say, first world problem. But I've actually stumbled upon a book that's pretty good recently. It's just the movement that I've been on so far. I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. Really, really good. Essentially talking about just money management, personal finance, you know, again, trying to improve myself personally and getting better. Definitely something that you should do. I recommend if you have a hard time finding things that are nice to read, try doing so in subjects that actually interest you versus things that you have to, right? As someone who, you know, had to get through college and everything, yeah, you read textbooks, but did you really read textbooks, or did you go through and find the specific section that had to do with the specific problem that you're trying to solve in order to stand a specific concept that was 9 times out of 10 going to show up on a specific exam? It all ties in. Read, guys, super important. It'll never, never hurt you, so take the time to do that. Next thing, surrounding yourself with different types of people. Your network is super, super important. Some people might go as far as to say your network is your net worth, right? Yeah, the type of people that you surround yourself with definitely reflect who you are, and it gives you an opportunity to shape how you speak and how you interact, because how you interact with those people will shape how you interact with other people, right? They always say, you know, you got to stay A1 and down with your day ones, right? But it's always good to expand that network as you grow, you learn more, you meet different types of people. And I'm talking all kinds of flavors, baby. Like I'm talking like different cultural groups, different ethnicities, because what you get from that is that you learn different culture from different ethnicities. You know, you might even pick up another language or two, and then you really, really become articulate. You go from articulate to fluent and affluent because you have those networks. It all ties in, man. It's all good. It's all great. Definitely surround yourself with different types of people, and because you can get different experiences, man. Like, you know, there's so many people in not only the United States but just in the world in general. You know, dude, renew that passport, get it cleared once COVID kind of settles down and we're out this quarantine mode. Yeah, just catch a flight. You know, you spend a night in another land. You'll learn something. You'll see something crazy, you know? Shout out to Aladdin, bro, a whole new world. Don't you dare close your eyes. Sorry, that was really corny. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. And then, oh my gosh, like, R.I.P. Anthony Bourdain, but like the rich flavors and the food that you get to try when you know different people from different cultural backgrounds, like the food. Oh my God, it is just, you gotta love it. It's so good. Definitely make friends with prominent people, cool people, good people. They say that the 5 people that surround you, or your 5 closest friends, are a reflection of you as a person. You know, whether it's 5, 10, 15, or 20, make sure that, you know, you're meeting new people and interacting with them and using them as just references and even sources to practice that articulation and, you know, learn from them, because there's a lot of unspoken languages too, as far as like body language, subtle nuances. What might fly with one group might not fly with the other, but by spending time with various amounts of people, you get the opportunity to learn these subtle nuances and these different types of things, right? It's good stuff. You gotta love it. The next thing that I would definitely recommend as far as improving your ability to be articulate and learning how to be articulate is just to practice. Plain and simple. Practice. It's a no-brainer. And I know what you're thinking.
Collins, how do I practice being articulate? How does one practice being articulate?
Well, I mean, there's many instances in which we have to speak. You know, you look at all these people who are really great at public speaking. I listed a few names earlier.
Shy!
You have speeches and stuff. You practice a speech, whether you're standing in front of the mirror, whether you're standing in front of that new friend group that you have, or your OGs, as they would say. It's a cool kid say nowadays. And, you know, you have your group of people, you've got your family, you know, and you practice with them. You practice how to talk and stuff like that. It ties into all this stuff, whether you're trying to make a sale or even spit some game, you know, it's just like, you gotta practice. You gotta talk to your people, see what flies, see what sounds good, work out the kinks, bounce ideas off them, you know, internalize that. It's good stuff. You should definitely practice. You should practice speeches. You should practice presentations. You should practice making videos and giving good content to the people, the viewers. Yes, love you guys. Because when you do that, you just get more comfortable. It becomes easier for you, it becomes natural, it becomes organic. Like the chemistry, right? You see all the bonds, you see everything ties in together. Science. Yeah. It's just practice. Proper planning prevents poor performance. It's good stuff. You gotta love it. Practice, try it out, work out the kinks, and once you get to that level of just like, I got this, you know, this is nothing, you know, give it a mic, then you'll be all right, you know. And even then, you should still continue to practice, because there's no such thing as perfection, and we can only strive to be the greatest versions of ourselves, right? So practice. Now, I've listed I've listed a few ways of, you know, becoming articulate, how to be so. And, you know, it has its inherent benefits, right? I guess that's the next thing I can go into. I can definitely go ahead and list the benefits of being articulate. Man, it puts food on the table. It gets your foot in the door as far as like opportunities. You know, it gets you into rooms that you may not inherently qualify for. But if you're able to just speak well, if you're seen as someone that can be outspoken, and only speak well, potentially speak in representation of others, whether it's a group or a company, man, oh man, you will soar. You will fly. You will just be able to do so many just great, amazing things because of your ability to speak, because of your ability of just having proper diction. You know, you can literally just spew out knowledge, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, and it's immaculate, it's amazing, spectacular vernacular. It's beautiful. You know, there's so many benefits that I can sit here and list, but you'll feel more confident, you'll feel more intelligent, you'll feel just able and capable to essentially talk to anybody. You know, it kind of gets rid of like any kind of inherent nervousness that you might have, and it just gives you an ability to just be a natural born, I would say, leader. And whether it's natural or not, if you practice and read and surround yourself with different types of people, you can develop that skill. And honestly, you take those same principles, you apply it across the board, and you can develop other skills too, if you think about it. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Yeah, you know, so it has its benefits, and you know, there's ways to do it, it's important. But you also have to be aware of potential pitfalls, because with all things, there's two sides to every coin. And just because you can do something really, really well, you know, you don't want to fly too close to the sun, so to speak, right? And going into detail, I would say, I mentioned that one of the benefits of being articulate is boosting your confidence. Well, you could also potentially become overconfident. They say everything in moderation, right? It's the same thing with your personal development. You don't want to go so far in that you burn yourself out, or think that you're literally better than everyone, or that you're above taking the time and to prepare or practice. You know, you might find yourself in a situation where you have a job opportunity on the line and you have to make a big presentation, and you might feel that you're good enough and you review the data minimally and you don't need to practice, you don't need to go through a script, you don't need to time your presentation. And what happens? You go and you bomb it and you don't get a job. Then you're just left twiddling your thumbs, feeling embarrassed. But hey, it's all right. Why? Because you can speak well, right? Manager might even come and say, hey, don't worry about it. You didn't get a job this time around, but I'm sure you'll find a job somewhere else because, I mean, you can at least talk well. Okay, I'm getting a little bit anecdotal, but to make a long story short, you definitely don't want to be overconfident. You definitely want to practice. It's the same thing with athletes going into a game, right? You don't want to be the guy that's not training, thinking that he's the man, thinking that he can just run routes or pull up shots. Everybody's hooping, everybody's training, everybody's trying. You need to make sure that you're sharp, that you're ready to perform. Don't be overconfident. It's very dangerous. Another thing too, you want to be mindful of how you speak to other people. Just because you can speak well, if you have the ability to speak well, you should make sure you're doing so and not being disrespectful or belittling to others. I mentioned learning subtle nuances from different cultural groups and how you might learn how some things fly with some people and they don't with others, right? This kind of ties into that. You want to be very, very careful about how you convey yourself when you're conveying yourself to certain people. Whether it's different groups, whether it's different age groups as well, especially in a professional setting, how you speak with your colleagues who you work with in the same level is not going to be the same as how you speak to managers. Same thing with friends and parents, depending on your culture, how you speak to your friends and siblings will not be the same way you speak to your parents. And this is coming from someone who's 100% Nigerian. This is very, very apparent in our culture. It's important. Filial piety, as a Chinese philosophy goes. Your elders have certain honorifics that go with them, and they should be esteemed and addressed as such. So, I went ahead and discussed how to improve your articulation, why it's important, and things to look out for as far as potential downfalls. I hope that this content proves useful to you as far as what you need to do to improve personally, getting those relationships, reading more, and just being able to speak and convey your point concisely and succinctly. It's very, very important as an individual who is aspiring to improve themselves in the professional world, as well as just your personal life. You interact with other people, you have important conversations. It's a good thing. You need to have the ability to speak and paint a picture for someone, especially when you're trying to convey an image or a message. It's super important. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video and seeing this through to the end. Hopefully it serves you in your individual endeavors and campaigns. And as always, the campaign continues, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Take care. I love you. Bye.